Cruella, the brand new Disney film starring Emma Stone, which explores the origins of the classic Disney villain. And when this film got announced, which I think was back in 2014, like the first Maleficent came out, made a lot of money, so logically Disney was like, okay, which Disney classic, which our classic film should we do the origin story of? And they choose Cruella. And even then, and even like, I don't know, before, between then and the trailer, I was like, really? You're doing a Cruella reveal movie? I'm like, hey, I like Emma Stone like everyone else. And, you know, everybody likes Cruella reveal, I gotcha, and I get you can't do a 101 Dalmatian live action remake because you've done it already. You did 2 of them. So, logically, I get it. But I'm still like, huh? Because I think one of the things is that when it comes to these movies where we're focusing on the villain, you know, the villain of a property that we know already, there's always that fear, or like the assume that the idea of like movies like Elixir, movies like Suicide Squad, which is all about the villain, but it turns out it's not really about the villain. You know, they're more like anti-heroes. They're just misunderstood people who have a heart and goal, and you're like, why can't the villains be the villains? Why? Why can't we? And it's a really... And after seeing this movie, what I will say is, first, it's a very solid film. It's pretty entertaining. It's solid at the core of it. But, it's not perfect. But what we got in this film is that. What we got was an origin story of a villain. You know, it's not making a villain a good guy or whatever it is. It's making a person who has a bit of edge with Stella, who's Cruella, her having a little bit of edge on her, and out from the movie, the edge kind of get exposed to the point she becomes Cruella. Even though I have to say this, the transformation, like the performance transformation, is spot on. Emma Stone giving good performance. Other words, water is wet. You know, the sky is blue. You know what I mean? It's like, duh. But the actual movie transition did feel a little bit like, she's kind of like avenge, and then fuck everything. You know, you do this, you do that, like full on Cruella. And I'm like, okay, it's not 100% to 180. But it's slightly like 30 agrees. Like, it's just like, maybe you need just one more scene to have that transition. Maybe like a costume montage, whatever. Because this movie is heavy on fashion. This is like, Stella, you got Stella, Cruella basically, being a fashion, and it's a competition, and trying to be the competition of Emma Thompson's character, and it's an Avengers movie in that way. And you have the soundtrack, which is a brilliant piece, really well piece of music. I mean, this movie's set in the 60s, 80s London, and you just get the greatest hits. You hear all the London key songs that you're going to get, and it's a really it's a really good choice of music. And it's one of those movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, like Suicide Squad, where you're going to hear more of the licensed music than the actual music of itself. Now, the criticisms I have in it is, as I said, found the transition just not 100% too quick, but it just felt like maybe an ecstasy just to have that fluent transition of Stella turning into Cruella. But the beginning is a bit, not sluggish, but just very slow, very just because it's the whole thing of like, we'll focus what she was as a kid, then what was her childhood like, and you're like, like I get with this part was needed, But do I really need to know what she was in school and all that? Like that part, the first, like, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15, where how many minutes it was, I just didn't. I was like, it was probably the most uninteresting part of the movie. You know it was needed, but it was still the most uninteresting part. The third thing, I was going to say a second, but the third thing is that at the third act, they do this reveal. And I do feel the third act could be a little bit too long. Felt like a good 10 minutes a good 5 minutes could easily be sliced off and would make the movie have a better pace, a little bit more quicker hence towards it. But they do like the whole hero villain, there's some, you know, connection between them thing, and I just didn't like. I was like, that was like the only part that kind of warmed my eyes. Like there's a scene, like a good like reaction scene towards it, but with that reveal, it just became like, really, we're doing like a, oh look, it's the Joker killing Thomas and Martha Wayne. You know, like, are we doing that shit? Really? And that's like the only like. Kind of wish you didn't do that. This just felt very like, here we go again. This movie is getting the premium access treatment as like Y and the Last Dragon. $35 if you're in Australia, $30 if you're in the US. I believe it's £20 in the UK, wherever the price is. So they're doing the premium access thing again. You pay, you go on Disney Plus, you can buy the movie, or you can go in theaters. Go to theaters. First, unless you're still skeptical, unless like A, theaters are closed, 2, you're skeptical walking out, that's understandably so. But go to see it in a movie. Go to see the theater. A, it's cheaper, unless it's a family situation. But I always will say, it is for me personally, it is a hell lot cheaper. A hell lot cheaper to buy the movie ticket and a large popcorn and drink than actually paying the movie itself on Disney Plus. So if you're able to go and see it, even if it's just you and your partner or you and a couple of family members, maybe if it's you and a couple of family members, I can understand that. But yeah, see this movie, it's solid, see it in a theater. It's a pretty well done little film, which actually it's probably the big surprise of the year so far. Yeah, I was expecting this, like, here we go again, pick the numbers, good guy, villain who is a good guy, and it isn't that.